Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. And today, what are we doing? We're looking at the Tier 7 Greek archers. I'm going to go with the Scythian archers, but please correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. So I did a video probably about a week ago, looking at the Tier 6, the Lesbos archers. I thought they were kind of quite powerful, pretty good as a unit at Tier 6. And sort of there's some points, a little bit of criticism about, well, Tier 6 isn't everything about the tier in these archers, and they keep going, and obviously some people felt they weren't particularly that powerful as we get to the higher tiers. So I thought, well, it seems a good opportunity to me to start to push up the archer tier a bit further, and we've made it to Tier 7. So, yes, I've been having a few games with these guys, and again, I must say, I do quite enjoy them. I found grinding from the Tier 6 to Tier 7 to be nice, and so far I have pretty enjoyed playing these guys going around. Even though I haven't even yet got them fully upgraded. So, when I first got them, I carried over the Exquisite Classical Bow from the previous tier, which you absolutely need, because the amount of damage and range, and particularly the armor penetrating damage modifier that you get is, you know, well worth it. So that's quite a nice addition. But I've still got things like this body armor upgrade to get, which gives me slight movement speed. I've already got the greaves, thankfully, which will add on as soon as I unlock this. And then I think I'm probably going to get this helmet here, since it's required in the next tech tree anyway. So yes, we've still got a bit of upgrading to do on them. But I feel there's kind of been a bit of a step change in how these archers kind of play compared to the sort of previous, Tier 6 down to Tier 1. Because we're actually starting to get quite significantly heavily armoured now. Or certainly, at least, if not heavily armoured, certainly heading in that direction compared to the previous units. So if we look at these guys, their base armour is actually 128. For a base, it's actually pretty decent, considering these are an archer, remember, they're not a melee combat unit. On top of that 128 base, well, there's two options of body armour. There's one for 10 armour and one for 12 with a missile block chance, which is nice, but their missile block chance isn't that high still. It's actually still pretty low, so it's kind of irrelevant. And the 5% movement speed is just not worth it in any way, so I'll be sticking with this. So you get plus 10 for that. We also get plus 2 for the greaves, and we're going to be wearing this helmet, so that's another plus 5. So that's another plus 17 onto this base 128 armour. Going to make these guys pretty, around about the 140-ish defense-wise, which is pretty good for archers. That means if you're facing off against the Tier 6 archers, you're actually going to have a reasonable chance of blocking a fair amount of damage they do to you. That's why if you've ever played sort of around the Tier 5, 6 archers and then come up against a much higher tier archer, you shoot to them and you seem to not really do much damage to them. That's because of the way the body armor really starts to ramp up. And this is progressive. Once we get up to the Tier 8s, it is getting higher and higher. They have 132 armor base and lots of things which increase the body armor as well. So, it's kind of a progressive continual thing as you get higher and higher up the tech trees. We can expect the body armor to keep increasing up and up and up, 153 by Tier 9. Whereas it hasn't really from Tier 1 to 6. So that's kind of an interesting step change in the way it plays. So on top of that, just from Tier 6 to Tier 7, there's also quite an increase in damage potential. So if we look at the base statistics we get here, is the base weapon damage 142 is about 20 higher than at Tier 6, which is a reasonable amount, particularly when we get some of the higher equipment bows, which start to add a reasonable amount of damage, and the fact we get 2 consumable options means we can really start to push this up and up and up. Actually start to give these guys quite a decent amount of damage. When you factor into the way that damage applies in this game, after it's, the amount of damage that is applied is taken sort of after you've removed the body armor values from the enemy units. So an increase of 20, 30, 40 points of weapon damage can actually mean you're almost adding 50% to the amount of damage you actually apply per shot. So it actually starts to become quite significant. So I feel quite a good improvement all of these guys over the Tier 6 in terms of their damage and defense potential. However, the consequence of it all is in their mobility. Base movement speed of 3.7, which is quite a lot slower than at Tier 6, when we have, base of 4 with options to increase it, because at Tier 6 we also had the dash as an ability, which we lose now at Tier 7. So the only way we get to increase our movement speed is through the rapid advance, which obviously is nice. That 30% movement speed for 16 seconds is great, don't get me wrong. But it worked really well when you had dash before, and the other unit had that higher base mobility at Tier 6. So they do feel quite a lot slower compared to the Tier 6s. But that's, I can't really complain considering how much of an upgrade everything else has had with them. So, apart from their base stats, what about consumables? So there's not any massive changes in consumables other than the fact we can now have 2 of them. The actual options that you have available are the same here as they are at tier 6. And for me, that really doesn't give me a choice, because I know some people seem to like them. I just really don't get on very well with the limited use consumables, the X arrows. I don't feel you really get enough of them. They run out quickly, and it's just more of an effort to activate and deactivate them when you want and don't want them. So for me, I'd rather have passive base improvements the whole time. So in this case, it's the weapon range to get with Archimedes cancel. The acceleration is nice, but it's effectively useless. And the actual +9 weapon damage, which is actually not too bad an amount for the hero of Athens. You know, that's just increased damage permanently throughout the entire game for every shot that you do. So for me, they're kind of the 2 key upgrades, and I have been running them with them the whole time. Generally, I'm not finding I'm losing any vast amounts of money or anything, so it's not really a problem in terms of cost. And yeah, so that is really about it for the changes. Other than the fact, you know, I still think they're pretty good at tier 7. They're perhaps not overpowered is probably the wrong word, but they're certainly a very solid unit. Yes, you are reliant on your teammates protecting you, or you're reliant on at least staying with your teammates. You know, you can sort of to some extent protect yourself by sort of your positioning and how you play them. But yeah, you are reliant on allies. Obviously, if you're in a party and you can team up with people and get them to defend you, then that's, you know, great. They become really powerful then. But yeah, good improvements, just a little bit slower. So let's hop into a battle and see how we get on with these guys. So we are loading into the battle marathon. Looks like we've got pretty mid-tier matchmaking, a few tier 6s kicking around, but mostly, well, tier 8s, tier 7s, bit of a mix. Quality of artillery, we've got 3 units there, another unit there, so that's 4. So it's a little more than likely the enemy's got some artillery, so we need to watch out for. Nothing really going with the forest, which could be a bit of a problem for us. So really, looks like most of the infantry are going up to the north, so that's kind of where I'm going to be inclined to go.
We must take their base.
So let's initially push this way then, and see sort of what my options are from here. So, as I was saying, yeah, one of the main things we've kind of lost, which is a real disappointment, is the mobility of these guys compared to the tier 6s. Particularly, they've lost dash, which is a bit of a shame. That worked kind of nicely in conjunction with rapid advance. So, rapid advance now gives sort of about 30% movement speed bonus. So it gives a good boost when it's running. You know, 4.7, 6 when I'm running through the grass. So it's not a bad base movement speed, but it's not the 6 or so meters a second I was able to achieve with dash and rapid advance combined. It's a bit of a shame to have lost that, but you know, there we go, can't have everything. Instead, we have got Snipe, which is an improved version of Strain. So not only gives it slightly more range, 12% over 10, it also gives plus 15% missile weapon damage, which is nice. So that's quite useful, and it's got quite a short cooldown. So obviously, the negative side is you get the 8 seconds of negative movement speed. So if you're kind of in a position where you're shortly going to be wanting to run, then yeah, don't use it. But you know, so long as you're a bit careful, and if you're using it while you're in cover or got allies around you and you're just shooting at something that's running past or something like that, it's perfect for that because you're doing more damage. So you want to try and make use of it, or it can be a little bit hard at times when you're not used to it. So what is going on? We seem to be playing fairly defensively. I'm kind of conscious I want to move up with these armoured legionaries because I want to have infantry support, which is obviously a good thing, but I'm also conscious of the fact that these forests can be pretty dangerous. Enemies can quite easily lurk on the edge of this forest and you won't see them until they dive out on you, and that will be pretty much your game over if you're not careful. So we've got some javelins coming up as well with us. We don't have any cavalry on our team, so it may be true the enemy team doesn't have any either. Seems like no one wants to move anywhere. Obviously we're not really in a position to be the ones to make the first move. Got some enemy infantry down this end of the map by the looks of it. Yep, some armoured legionaries. So there are enemy artillery. Where were they coming from? Look like quite short range shots, maybe they're kicking around from up here. Got some tier 7 veteran legionaries pushing across the centre. Okay, these guys are going to keep moving up. That gives us some opportunities potentially. So let's push these guys up slightly. We maybe are able to... Can I get into that bit of ground? No. It's a dead ground. Maybe get close enough to activate my buffs. Obviously I'm going to come into range of the enemy artillery. That's my sort of concern. But I might be able to use this sort of lowland... lowland here as sort of like disguising cover. So let's activate that. Come on, get observation on someone. Go straight away for barrage. We are being shot at. We should out-armour them, so we should be able to kill one, which we have. We're now taking casualties on the second unit. Let's go straight for the focused fire. Let's try and get damage in on these guys. We sort of took half damage. But as I was saying earlier, these guys have got pretty significantly improved armour compared to the tier 6. We're starting to really rank up now on the armour front. So that kind of makes a significant difference to how these guys behave. Which is why with their attack on us, they were only taking off half my unit health here, as I worked out sort of 1.5 of them. So I'm going to push forward and push into this little bit of grass here. Since we've got these armoured legionaries moving up, we've got some javelins here and some friendly Romans here as well. So let's just go for my long range and increased damage. I would have thought these guys are just going to go straight into Testudo, I would have thought. Having a little bit of friendly fire there, more than I thought. There we go, still getting a bit of damage in against them. Quite a barrage of firing against them. Don't know why they haven't gone into Testudo yet. But there they go, they've finally made that decision. Okay, let's keep moving forwards through the forest, I think. Are they sufficiently Testudo to stop all damage? Yes. So we've got these enemy archers around here. Let's go back into our longer range shots, see if we can get a few more volleys on them. A bit hard to get hits at times. Obviously we also get an increase to weapon damage with these guys. Let's get a volley if we can into this larger group here. They're the main threat. Oh, what the... Ah, cavalry! Where did they come from? Okay, right, let's move into the cover here that we have. And let's start trying to get shots straight into these guys. And there's not actually that many of them left, so if we can just keep out the way, then I think these friendly infantry will be able to do a reasonable amount of damage to them. I don't think it should be a too problem. Got foot companions moving up as well. Let's just sort of try not to get hit by anything. If we can. We didn't take too many losses there, I don't think. Looks like all that enemy cavalry is basically dead. Well, he's going to promptly be routing anyway. Okay, right, let's get back to dealing with these guys, which we were doing. Back on with our boosted range. If we get everyone shooting, let's go back with a barrage. Come on, guys. Let's just get the damage in if we can. No. Didn't go so well. They were able to move. Obviously, at maximum range, you've got quite a long travel time on your arrows. Which can be a problem. Much like this artillery, which is causing me woe. Obviously, it's only down here, so if we could actually push up as sort of a combined unit, really we can get in range of this artillery without too much trouble, I think. And you'll find, well, I've found so far that archers are extremely effective against enemy artillery, just does a vast amount of damage. Because the artillery crews have no shield, no armour, no missile block chance. So you say they're there, you know, they're not that far away, to be honest. Let's activate a bit of a rapid advance, see if we can get a bit closer. These skirmishers are trying to push down, which is fine. They're going for an assemble, disassemble. They've thrown in some smoke, which is a pain. Let's go for it. Let's get the first shots off. Let's go against this crew down here, actually, if we can. So yeah, so we're going to take them down pretty quickly. I just don't know if we're going to be able to get them all down before they've escaped from us. No, we can't. Get some, maybe another volley against this guy. Okay, so one is dead, but we didn't quite get enough damage in. Oops, and we're standing in acrid smoke. Move! Choking. Yes, but we didn't quite get close enough to kill off that final little bit of that enemy unit, which is obviously now making a dash for the forest. But this battle is now pretty significantly in our favour. Any enemy cavalry is dead, and we've got these guys on the run, so let's start to apply a bit of pressure to them and see what we can do. Yeah, just keep pushing this way. Nothing really that is a massive threat to me now. These archers are going to be possibly a pain in the sense that they can shoot me from the forest when I can't see them. But I'm not too worried about that. We could also pressure this unit of armoured legionaries since it doesn't have access to a Testudo, because it's a Caesar Romans. They're running for the long grass as well, and it looks like there's some enemy elephants sort of defending in base. So we've got a few choices open to us. Yeah, as I was saying, these guys are very slow compared to the tier 6s. That's the main thing I feel. Well, the main shame with these guys is their lack of mobility. Kind of pretty big letdown, particularly when the tier 6s were just so mobile, you know, so like outlandishly mobile, made them pretty powerful. So I'm going to keep pushing on, I think. I don't think those javelins are going to last very long. And obviously my fear is I can obviously be seen here on the edge of the forest.
Double time.
The artillery is returning fire already. I would have thought these Romans could be loitering on the edge and they could be about to ambush me because I can't see it until I step into the forest. I should probably send in one unit at a time. We'll risk it.
Apace.
Come on guys, keep moving. So, where have these Romans gone?
Onward!
Therein lies the $1,000,000 question. Oh, there they are.
Double time. Destroy.
Try and get some shots out if we can.
Bombard them!
We should probably not have activated bombard barrage
Quickly.
when we still weren't quite close enough to get the full effect of it.
Slay them.
Obviously, look how slow we go now. We've got the negative movement speed modifier and we're walking through mud. We are super slow.
Dead. Archers.
Let's try and keep some damage on these guys.
Quick
They
march.
do a good amount of damage, these guys, particularly shooting Romans and stuff from the back. Pretty effective.
We are firing upon
We'll get some allied hits probably here. It shouldn't be too bad though.
my target!
Make sure we don't hit these friendly javelins. Because we're shooting into the rear of them, you know, our damage potential is a lot higher. Okay, whoa, stop. Okay, and that basically is them eliminated. And victory for us. Got about 1,800 aggression damage, not too great.
Archers.
But they are quite a lot more powerful in terms of sort of a static fight than the previous tier archers. I think that's the main thing to point out. But at the same time, they sacrifice a lot of speed to achieve that. So it's kind of, you know, armor versus speed. The damage potential goes up quite a bit as well. Obviously, which we looked at the beginning, is quite a lot higher. And you know, we've got the option of the bow, which obviously gives quite a significant increase to their range and armor penetration as well, which kind of makes them more effective against elephants and Romans compared to what they are the previous tier 6. So hopefully it's kind of a bit of an interesting overview of how the archers are progressing up the tech tree. I'm probably going to keep playing these guys. I have been quite enjoying them, playing them, getting them up from tier 6 to tier 7. So yeah, they are pretty good going. Obviously, a little bit of controversy surrounding the last video of whether they are overpowered or not. I don't know, perhaps they're not, but they are certainly quite strong at times. I'll certainly play very well anyway. But it doesn't make them unenjoyable to play because I've certainly been enjoying playing them. So hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, please give the video a like. Let me know what you think about the tier 7's archer, the Scythian archers, down in the comments below. And thanks guys, I shall see you all on the next video.